Tales of Barbuzaar, Jabala, the Lazy Girl, a Buganda folk tale. Jambala, Jambala, my dearest daughter. Jambala, Jambala, my dearest daughter. Once upon a time, there lived a very hard-working man who married a woman in a village far away. They lived happily together and eventually gave birth to a baby girl whom they named Jabala. Our daughter looks so beautiful.
Indeed, she is the most beautiful little girl ever.
At a tender age of 16, Jabala was already the most beautiful girl in the village. Her parents loved her so much because she was all they had. They gave her everything she asked for, but it was her mother in particular that never wanted her to do any housework. Jabala, my beautiful girl, please do not come closer to the kitchen. You might burn your delicate skin.
But what are you really doing to this child? Young girls of her age already know how to fetch water, cook, and even wash dishes. But Njapala does not know how to do anything.
Leave my daughter alone. Leave my daughter alone. Let me bring her up like the princess she is meant to be.
What will she do when she gets married? Will you be the one cooking for her or cleaning after her?
When the time will come, we will know what to do. Besides, she shall marry a rich man and will not need to work. So please, leave me alone. So, Jabala grew up in a life of bliss. One day, however, Jabala's father went hunting in the neighboring village and never returned. His disappearance left the mother so devastated that she fell sick and then eventually died. Jabala stayed home lonely until the village elders decided it was not right for her to remain alone and decided to find a husband for her. A few weeks later, Jabala eventually got married. After the wedding, she went to stay with her husband.
Now, go home, Jabala, and be a good wife to your husband. And you, my son, be a good husband to our daughter here.
So, Jabala went to her husband's house. Her in-laws welcomed her and made her life very comfortable for the first 3 weeks after the wedding. They would wash her clothes and even cook her food. But then, the good times went by very quick. Time came and she had to do her chores all by herself. Poor Jabala could not do anything by herself. She could not light firewood, she could not cook, she could not even wash her own clothes because her mother never taught her.
Every time I try to cook, I burn the food. Every chore I do goes wrong. My life has become very dark and cold. I wish Mother was there with me.
Every day, Jabala cried and sang to her mother so she could come and see what had become of her. Mother, you are the one that made me like this. Mother, you are the one that made me lazy. Everything I do, my husband complains. Everything I do, my husband complains. Whenever her husband will go away, she will sing the song. Whenever she had to wash dishes, she would sing the song. Njabala felt it was her mother's fault for refusing to train her properly. So she cried on and on until one day, the ghost of her mother showed up.
Mother, is that you?
Yes, my daughter. I came to help you with your house chores.
But how is this possible?
Do not ask me many questions, Jabala. Just look at what I do and learn from it. Now I know every woman, as beautiful as she could be, must know how to walk. I am sorry to have failed you, my daughter. Anytime Jabala had to complete a house task, she would sing and call upon her mother for help. In Buganda culture, it is a taboo for a mother-in-law to cross paths with her son-in-law. It is firmly forbidden. One day, while Jabala was in the flower garden digging, she sang again, calling on her mother's help. As usual, her mother showed up, took on the hoe, and started digging. As she dug, she sang to her daughter. Jabala, Jabala, my dearest daughter. Jabala, Jabala, my dearest daughter. This is how you cook. This is how you dig. This is how you wash dishes. Jabala, Jabala, my dearest daughter. The following days became brighter for Jabala. Her husband thought his wife had gotten better at house chores, and he was very pleased for the flower garden looked so beautiful, and his meals were delicious. Every day, he went home and thanked her for all she did. He gave her presents and treated her as a queen. One evening, Jabala's husband returned home early and heard someone singing. Jabala, Jabala, my dearest daughter. Jabala, Jabala, my dearest daughter. This is how you cook. This is how you dig. This is how you wash dishes. Jabala, Jabala, my dearest daughter.
I wonder who is singing. This is not my wife's voice. Let me go and find out.
So slowly, he walked in, and when he got into the garden, he saw the ghost of Jabala's mother. He was in so much shock that he ran away and immediately went to call on the neighbors for help.
I need help. I need help. Please help me. I think my wife is a witch. I have a witch in my home. Please help me.
As soon as the villagers heard this, they all gathered around Jabala's house and chased her away from her home and from the village. Together, they shouted,
Witches are not welcomed in this village. Go away, witch, and never return.
Go away, witch.
Go
away, witch.
So, Jabala cried as she carried her stockpile on her back, not knowing where to go. For she was chased out of the village, and that was the end of Jabala. The moral of the story is that, regardless of one's beauty, learning how to walk is not an option, for a time will surely come when Mama and Papa won't be there, and all you will have is the survival skills you would have learned while you were still young. The end.
Bedtime Tales of African Queens Who Slayed History is a children's illustrated picture book introducing kids to the legendary stories of 31 African warrior queens and princesses. The stories are lovingly written in a fairy tale style, making it easy for every kid to immediately dive deep into the magical and wonderful universe of these extraordinary women who changed history forever. This is a book to learn about the adventures of Africa's true legendary queens. Get your own copy today. Now available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Tales of Barbuzaar. Sanji and the Three Gorillas. Long time ago, there lived a little girl called Sanji, the prettiest creature who was ever seen. Sanji lived with her mother in a beautiful cottage of a tiny village. In this village, there were many friendly animals. But not all were friendly. There were 3 very hostile gorillas who were known for eating young children. Very fond of her daughter, Sanji's mother's greatest desire was to prevent her daughter from being eaten by this enormous beast, so she kept Sanji at home and never allowed her to go out.
Please, Mother, I would like to follow you to the farm. I hate seeing you work so hard all by yourself.
Sanji, my beautiful girl, I know you wish to help Mama, but you are not yet strong enough to protect yourself against the angry gorillas who eat children. When you grow strong enough and can now protect yourself, then you can follow me to the market, to the farm, and even to the river to fetch water.
But Nana, that would take too long for me to grow.
The more reason why you ought to remain indoors, Sanji. Further worried for the safety of her daughter, Sanji's mother decided to hide her in an abandoned tower. Sanji, listen to me carefully. I will give you a secret code. Whenever I go out, do not open the door to anyone unless you hear this secret code. And then she went on to sing. Sanji, 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 my little girl, you are still young, you are still to grow up. When you grow up, we will walk together. So now open the door so I can give you food. Sanji, 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 my little girl, you are still young, you are still to grow up. When you grow up, we will walk together. So now open the door so I can give you food. For a long time, Sanji remained in the tower all by herself and would only receive the visit of her mother whenever she brought her food to eat. So whenever Sanji heard the voice, she knew it was her mother and would immediately run to open the door. After bringing food to Sanji, Sanji would roll over a large stone, blocking the entrance to the tower so no one would get in. Meanwhile, the three gorillas who were terrorizing the entire village knew there was a hidden girl somewhere. So they searched all over the village until the baby gorilla noticed how Sanji's mother would always go to the abandoned tower with a basket of food. He communicated this information to Mother Gorilla and Father Gorilla. The following day, the three gorillas spied on Sanji's mother, followed her to the tower, and heard her sing to her daughter. Immediately, someone rolled the stone over, and there she was, a very beautiful little girl. For several days, the three gorillas listened to Sanji's mother sing. When they thought they had finally learned the song, they went closer to the tower and each at a time tried to rehearse the song to one another. But they soon realized their voices sounded cracked and rough.
Sanji would know this is not the voice of her mother.
Definitely she will. Our voices are too different. Something needs to be done.
I know of a wizard that can help us with a herb so our voices could become as sweet as that of Sanji's mother. Let's go and consult with him.
So, in common accord, they went to consult the wizard, who indeed offered them a magic potion to drink.
This herb have the power to transform your voice into that of Sanji's mother. Then you would be able to persuade Sanji to open the door. But remember, on your way to Sanji's tower, you shall not eat nor sing along with houseflies. If you do so, the spell will be broken.
The three gorillas thanked the wizard profusely. Later on, baby gorilla decided to get ahead of everyone and left to Sanji's tower without telling his parents. On his way, a group of houseflies came over him and began to roam about his ears.
Leave me alone, you evil creatures, or I will eat you alive.
Despite the warning, the houseflies continued to bother the baby gorilla, so he ended up swallowing them all. And as he arrived at Sanji's tower, he began to sing for Sanji to open the door. But it was all in vain, for his voice had become even more cracked and rough.
Go away, you evil beast. I shall not open the door. I know you are not my mother.
Oh well. Baby gorilla frowned and sadly went back home with an empty belly. The next day, Mother Gorilla also sneaked out of the house and headed to Sanji's tower. On her way, another group of houseflies came and began to sing. And as they were singing, Mother Gorilla unconsciously joined in and sang along. Finally, Mother Gorilla arrived at Sanji's tower. She sent away the houseflies and then began to sing for Sanji to open the door. But it was all in vain, for her voice had become even more cracked and rough.
Go away, you evil beast. I shall not open the door. I know you are not my mother.
Mother Gorilla frowned and sadly went back home with an empty belly. The following morning, father gorilla also sneaked out of the house and headed to Sanji's tower. On his way, a group of houseflies attacked his ears persistently, but he managed to chase them away. Another group of houseflies came and started singing into his ears, but again, he chased them away, for his mind was fully focused on his objective of eating Sanji. And as he arrived at Sanji's tower, just like Sanji's mother, he sang to the little girl. Sanji, 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 my little girl, you are still young, you are still to grow up. When you grow up, we will walk together. So now, open the door so I can give you food.
Surely, this must be Mama.
So, Sanji rolled the stone over. Unfortunately, she realized it was the monster gorilla and started screaming for help.
Mama! Mama! Please come save me. The gorilla tricked me.
No one will save you. Ha 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 ha. I will swallow you.
The beast swallowed Sanji and ran away. Hours later, Mother Sanji came back to bring food to her daughter, and as usual, she sang. Sanji, 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 my little girl, you are still young, you are still to grow up. When you grow up, we will walk together. So now, open the door so I can give you food. Sanji, 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 my little girl, you are still young, you are still to grow up. When you grow up, we will walk together. But no one rolled the stone. So on and on she sang, but again, no one rolled the stone. Finally, she decided to break in and realized Sanji wasn't there. Someone had eaten Sanji. Sanji's mother cried and cried for her beloved daughter. After shedding all her tears, she got up and thought of who could have eaten her daughter.
I know this must be the work of these evil gorillas. I must find them.
Without wasting much time, Sanji's mother began to run down the trees, down past the river, into the mountains until she arrived at the gorilla's family home and saw all three of them. When she arrived, she was frowning and looked very fearless. Sanji's mother had a magical knife. If she cut your finger with the magical knife, whatever you ate would come out. Coming closer to the baby gorilla, Sanji's mother took out her knife and pointed fearlessly at the baby gorilla.
Are you the one who ate my daughter, baby gorilla?
No, it is not me. I did not eat your daughter. Even if you check my belly, there is no one in here. Maybe you should check at the back.
He said, pointing at the back. Then she went to another and asked again,
Do not lie to me. Are you the one who ate my daughter, mother gorilla?
It is not me. I did not eat your daughter. Even if you check my belly, there is no one in here. Maybe you should check at the back.
Then she went to Father Gorilla and found him with a big belly.
Judging from the size of your belly, surely you are the one who ate my daughter.
No, man. It is not me who ate your daughter. Even if you check my belly, there is no one in here. Maybe you should check at the back.
No. You are not playing games with me. I can tell from the size of your belly that you are the one who ate my daughter.
Immediately, Sanji's mother removed her magic knife and cut his belly, and blood began to drip on the floor, and boom! He opened his mouth, and Sanji came out. Taking her daughter, Sanji's mother warned them for good.
Do not dare to touch my daughter ever again.
Then, she gave her beautiful daughter a big hug, and together
They went home happily ever after. The end.
A long time ago, there lived a beautiful girl named Manka. Manka was kind, gentle, and lovely, with a heart full of love. Sadly, life had not always been kind to her. Her mother had passed away while giving birth to her, and her father had died a few years ago after marrying a very selfish woman who became Manka's stepmother. The stepmother had one daughter of her own and was terribly jealous of Manka's beauty and kind heart. She treated Manka unfairly, making her do all the housework, fetching water from the stream, washing clothes, cooking meals, while her own daughter did nothing all day. Although Manka cooked all the meals, she was never allowed to eat enough food and often went hungry for days. Despite the cruelty she faced, Manka remained kind and gentle, never letting her stepmother's harshness change her. One day, her stepmother sent her to the river to wash dishes. As she was washing, one plate slipped from her hands and was carried away by the river's current until it disappeared from sight. When Manka returned home, her stepmother immediately noticed the missing plate.
One plate is missing, Manka. Where did you leave it?
I'm so sorry, Mother. While I was washing the dishes, one slipped into the river and I couldn't find it, though I searched everywhere. Please forgive me.
Upon hearing this, her stepmother slapped her hard.
Go back to the river and find that plate. Do not come back unless you have it.
Tears streaming down her face, Manka went back to the river, crying as she searched. She looked everywhere along the riverbank but found nothing. As she walked, she came across an old woman working on a farm.
Please, Mom, I lost a plate in the river while washing dishes. By any chance, did you see it?
Yes, my dear, I saw a plate pass by, but before I tell you where it went, you must help me with my farming.
Manka willingly helped the old woman, working hard until the farm was complete. The old woman was pleased.
Thank you so much, my dear. I don't have your plate, but I will direct you to where you might find it. Go down the hill until you meet a man tending cattle. Ask him, and he will guide you.
Manka thanked the woman and went down the hill, where she found an old man milking his cows.
Sir, I lost a plate in the river. Have you seen it?
Yes, I did. But first help me milk these cows so I can have fresh milk to sell at the market tomorrow.
Manka agreed and helped milk all the cows. Once they finished, she asked about her plate.
I don't have your plate, but if you keep going down the road, you'll find a chubby old woman sitting under a palm tree. Ask her, and she'll be able to help you.
Manka thanked him and continued until she found the chubby old woman under a palm tree.
Sorry to disturb you, Mom, but I lost a plate in the river. Did you see it?
Yes, I picked up your plate. It's at my house, but first, help me scratch my body, which is covered in itchy boils and blisters from chickenpox.
Despite the unpleasant task, Manka kindly scratched the old woman's sores until she felt relief.
Thank you, my dear. Come to my house and I'll give you your plate.
The old woman led Manka to a lonely house in a remote area. Before going to rest in her room, she instructed Manka.
In the kitchen, you'll find a bowl of eggs. The ones that jump and scream, pick me, pick me, pick me, must not be chosen. Take the quiet egg instead.
Obedient as always, Manka went to the kitchen and soon found a bowl full of eggs on the table. Almost all the eggs were shouting, "Pick me, pick me, pick me," except for one egg, which remained quiet. Following the old woman's advice, Manka chose the silent egg and brought it back to the chubby old woman.
Take this egg home, gather your loved ones, and break it on bare ground. All your wishes will come true.
Manka returned home and convinced her stepmother and stepsister to follow her. Although reluctant, they went with her. When they arrived at the spot, Manka broke the egg. Instantly, a grand mansion, chests of gold, and luxurious clothes appeared, along with the missing plate. Manka gave the plate to her stepmother, thanking her for everything. Red with jealousy, Manka's stepmother quickly urged her own daughter, Talanji, to go to the same river, throw a plate into the water, and look for it. Eagerly, Talanji followed her mother's instructions, heading to the river, where she tossed the plate in and began searching downstream until she stumbled upon an old woman farming.
Hey Mom, I was washing my plates in the river and one of them slipped and vanished. Did you see it?
Yes, my dear, I saw a plate passing by. But before I tell you where it went, come and help me finish farming. Once we're done, I'll show you.
Who should help you? Me? And yet looking for my plate, not to work for you, old woman. Do your own work and leave me alone.
But my daughter.
Daughter? How dare you? Can you keep that to me?
Talanji dismissed the old woman and continued down the stream until she encountered an old man milking his cows.
Excuse me, old man, have you seen my plate?
Yes, I've seen it. But before I tell you, could you help me milk these cows? I need fresh milk to sell at the market tomorrow.
You people must be joking today. I'm searching for my plate and you want me to milk your cows? Do I look like a farm worker to you?
Without another word, Talanji stormed off, eventually meeting a chubby old woman resting under a palm tree.
Sorry to disturb you, ma'am, but I lost a plate in the river. Have you seen it?
Yes, I found it and took it to my house, but first, could you help me scratch my aching body? These blisters and boils itch terribly.
I give up. This is ridiculous. Just give me my plate, old woman, and let me go. I don't have time to waste.
Very well, come and get it.
The chubby old woman led Talanji to her home, a lonely house situated in a remote area. Before going to her room to rest, she gave Talanji some instructions.
In my kitchen, you'll find a bowl of eggs. The ones that jump and shout, pick me, should not be chosen. Take the egg that remains quiet instead.
Talanji went to the kitchen and found the bowl of eggs. Almost all of them were shouting, pick me, pick me, pick me. Only one egg stayed silent.
This woman thinks I must be foolish. She says I must pick the silent egg. Am I an idiot?
Ignoring the instructions, Talanji grabbed one of the loud eggs and brought it to the old woman.
Take this egg home, gather your loved ones, and break it on bare ground. Do as I say, then everything you deserve will come to you.
Excited, Talanji rushed home and called her mother. Together, they went to an empty field.
Finally, my daughter will be rich too. What a blessing.
She laughed and danced with her daughter. With great anticipation, Talanji threw the egg to the ground. Instantly, wild animals of all kinds emerged from the egg, chasing Talanji and her mother out of the village. The animals tore at their clothes as they ran for their lives, and no one ever saw them again. Whether they were eaten or somehow survived, no one knew. Nevertheless, Manka became very rich, got married to the chief's son, and lived happily ever after, proving that goodness, kindness, and a loving heart could overcome the challenges life may bring. The end.